Hello students, this is Suman Sharma from SVM Sinidih and this is the third video for class 9 and the topic is motion. In the previous video, you have just learned about speed and average speed. Here is the concept map of speed. So, speed is defined as the distance travelled per unit time, you know it, and the SI unit of speed is meter per second. Speed is a scalar quantity because it has only magnitude but it has no direction. Uniform speed, when object covers equal distance in equal interval of time, then it is called uniform speed. But when an object covers unequal distance in equal interval of time, then it is called non-uniform speed. Here, average speed. Average speed is calculated by total distance travelled divided by the total time taken to cover that distance. This is the formula for the average velocity, or you can also make the statement. So these are the terms related to the speed. Now here are the two important points is that the speed of a running car at any instant of time is shown by the instrument called speedometer, and the speedometer gives the speed in kilometers per hour. The second important point is that the distance travelled by the car is measured by the instrument called odometer. So these are the terms which is related to speed. Now in the next slide, the topic is velocity. Students, we know that the speed of any object gives us idea of how fast the car is moving, but it does not tell us anything about the direction of the object. So to know the exact position of the moving object, we should know the direction of motion of the object along with its speed. So when the speed is associated with direction, then it gives the another term, and that another term is called velocity. So velocity is defined as velocity of a body is the distance travelled by it per unit time in the given direction. So this is the statement or the definition for the velocity, and the formula is that distance travelled in the given direction by time taken. Students, we know that when distance is associated with direction, then it gives displacement. That means here it is written that distance travelled in the given direction. That means this term becomes displacement. So the formula becomes displacement by time taken. So as we go to the next slide, that the formula for velocity becomes this, that velocity is equal to displacement by time taken. And it can be written as, here S is equal to displacement, T is equal to time taken, and V is equal to velocity. We know that the SI unit for the displacement is meter and time taken, the SI unit for time taken is second. So the SI unit for velocity becomes meter per second. Now the next topic is uniform velocity. Students, you know the term uniform speed. Uniform speed means that when the object or the body covers equal distance in equal interval of time. When we associate direction in this definition means when it moves equal distance in equal interval of time in a specified direction or in a straight line, then it gives uniform velocity. So a body has uniform velocity if it travels in a specified direction in a straight line and moves equal distance in equal interval of time. Then it is called uniform velocity. So velocity is associated with the two terms. First is the speed and second is the direction. And the velocity of an object, of an body, can be changed by two ways. First, by changing the speed of the body. If we change the speed of any object, any body, then the velocity of the object can be changed. But the second point is that by keeping the speed constant, if we are keeping the speed of any object is constant and we are changing the direction continuously, then in this way we can also change the velocity of the object or velocity of the body. So there are the two ways in which the velocity of the object or the body can be changed. Firstly, by changing the speed of the body, and second, by keeping the speed constant but by changing the direction. So students, these are the two ways by which the velocity of a body can be changed. Now, in the next slide, the topic is non-uniform velocity. It is very simple. When a body does not cover equal distance in equal interval of time, then the velocity is said non-uniform or variable velocity. Here is the concept map of velocity. So velocity is defined as the displacement produced per unit time is called velocity. And the SI unit for the velocity is meter per second. Velocity is a vector quantity because it has magnitude as well as direction. Now, the direction of the velocity is same as the direction of displacement. We have to remember that the direction of the velocity is same as the direction of displacement. Here is the uniform velocity. When an object covers equal distance in equal interval of time in a specified direction, then it is uniform velocity. And when it covers unequal distance in equal interval of time, then it is non-uniform velocity. The velocity can be changed by changing the speed and changing the direction of the motion of the body. So these are the terms related to velocity. Now, in the next slide, this is very important topic that speed and velocity are not always equal in magnitude. Suppose that student, there is a man and the man is in his home and he has to go to market and the market is 200 meters away from his home. The man takes 100 second time to cover this 200 meters. So this is the situation and we have to find the speed and velocity of this situation. So we know that speed is equal to distance traveled by time taken. So in this case, the distance covered by this person is 200 meters and to cover this 200 meters, the person takes a time of 100 seconds. So we can calculate it and it becomes the speed of the man is 2 meters per second. Now we have to calculate velocity and we know the formula for velocity is equal to displacement by time taken. Students, we know that when an object or a boy or a person moves in a specified direction or in a straight line, then in that case the displacement is equal to distance. Here the person moves along a straight line and it covers a distance of 200 meters. That means its displacement is also 200 meters. So the displacement is equal to 200 meters. But we have to mention the direction, that in which direction he covers 200 meters. So it is also written that in east direction. So 200 meters in east. And to cover this 200 meters, it also takes 100 second time. So the answer would be that is 2 meters per second towards east. When we mention the direction in this magnitude, then it gives the velocity of the situation or any question which is given. So these are the two difference of velocity and speed. In speed, no direction is mentioned, but in velocity, direction is mentioned. Here, thus the magnitude of speed and velocity of a moving body is equal only if the body moves along a straight line. But if it doesn't move along a straight line, then the magnitude of speed and the velocity will not be equal. Here, in the next slide, the topic is this. The person is in his home and he has to go to market. Now, in going to market, the market is 200 meters away from his home and he takes 100 second time to cover this 200 meters. He reached to market, he bought something and returned to his home. And while returning, he again traveled 200 meters. and again covering this 200 meter, he again takes 100 seconds of time. So this is the situation, and in this situation we have to find the speed and velocity. So speed is equal to total distance by time taken. So the total distance means, why in the first situation he covers 200 meter in going to market, and in the second situation he again covers 200 meter in returning to home. So the total distance is equal to 200 meter plus 200 meter is equal to 400 meter. And in the first situation he takes 100 seconds of time, and in the second situation he also takes 100 seconds of time. So the total time taken is equal to 200 seconds, and we have speed is equal to total distance by time taken. So total distance is equal to 400 meter and total time is equal to 200 seconds, and we solve it and we will get the answer of speed is equal to 2 meter per second. But in this situation we have to calculate velocity, and velocity is equal to displacement by time taken. Now firstly we have to find the displacement. We know that velocity is equal to displacement by time taken, and we have to find firstly the displacement. Here in the diagram, the boy starts his journey from his home. So his home is the initial position, and he finishes his journey at home, so his final position is also his home. So when we know that the initial position or the final position is at the common point, then in that case the displacement is 0 meter. But the time taken is equal to, firstly he starts his journey from his home, he go to market, in going to market he takes 100 seconds of time, and then after buying something he returns to his home and again takes 100 seconds of time. So the total time taken is equal to 200 seconds. So we have to calculate velocity is equal to, that is displacement by time taken, and the displacement is equal to 0 meter and the time taken is equal to 200 seconds. So we will solve and we will get the answer. We will get the answer of velocity is equal to 0 meter per second. Now if a body doesn't move in a single straight line, then the speed and the velocity of a body are not equal. This is the second important point, that in this situation we see that the speed and the velocity is not equal because the person is not moving only along a straight line. So this is the important point, that when the magnitude of speed and velocity is equal and when it will not be equal. So students, in the next slide there is a differentiation between speed and velocity, which is very simple. First, it is the distance covered by the body per unit time, and it is the displacement by the body per unit time. Speed is a scalar quantity and velocity is a vector quantity. Average speed of a moving body can never be 0. Average speed of a moving body can never be 0 because average speed is calculated by total distance by total time taken, and the distance can never be 0. As the distance can never be 0, so the speed can also never be 0. The average speed of a moving body can be 0. But when the displacement is 0, then the average speed of a moving body can be 0. Here speed gives us an idea about rapidity of motion of the body, that how fast or how slow the object is moving. And the velocity gives us an idea about the rapidity as well as the position of the body in the motion. It also tells us that the speed and the direction of motion of the object. Now, the last point is that the speed of a moving body can never be negative, but the velocity of a moving body can be positive, negative or 0. It depends upon the reference point. So students, these are the differentiation between speed and velocity. You have to read and write it. Okay. Now in the next slide, the image you can see that in the first image, speed is simply how fast you are traveling, as it is given that the speed of the car is 20 meters per second and the velocity is speed in the given direction, that is 20 meters per second if it is written that a car is traveling 20 meters per second in each direction. That means it is given its velocity. It means velocity is equal to 20 meters per second. But if it is written that the car is traveling at 20 meters per second, then it simply gives us its speed. So we can write speed is equal to 20 meters per second. Here, velocity is speed in a given direction or speed of something in the given direction. So here, the car is moving in this direction, so its speed is equal to 25 meters per second, but the velocity is written as plus 25 meters per second. For this car, the speed is equal to 25 meters per second, but the velocity is minus 25 meters per second because this direction is just opposite to this direction. This is the differentiation between the speed and velocity. Now, in the next slide, there are two questions, and all these two questions are very simple. A car traveling a distance of 200 km from Delhi to Ambala towards north. Suppose students, we consider that this is the north direction and here is Delhi and it is Ambala. And the distance between Delhi and Ambala is 200 km. And it covers the 200 km in 5 hours. So, distance is equal to 200 km. And time is equal to 5 hours. So we have to calculate speed and the velocity of the car for his journey. Now the journey is along a straight line from Delhi to Ambala. That means for speed is equal to distance by time, and you know the distance, you know the time, you will have to put these two values at the required place and you will get the answer. Now we have to find the velocity. Velocity is equal to displacement by time, and you know that as the car is traveling along the straight line, then the 200 km will be its displacement, because along a straight line the magnitude of distance and displacement is equal. So again we have to put 200 km in place of displacement, and the time taken is given 5 hours. You have to calculate and you will get the answer for the velocity. Now students, this is the first question. You have to solve it. Now in the second question, a train travels a speed of 60 km per hour for 60 km per hour for 0.52 hours. Means in the first situation, the V1 is given that 60 km per hour and time T1 is given at 0.52 hours. In the second situation, V2 is given that 30 km per hour and T2 is given at 0.24 hours. In the third situation, V3 is given by 70 km per hour and time is given by T3 is given by 0.71 hours. So students, we have to find the average speed of the train. So you know that to calculate average speed, we need two quantities, total distance by total time taken. So here the time taken is T1, T2 and T3. So if we have to calculate total time taken, then total time is equal to T1 plus T2 plus T3. That means it becomes something like that, 0.52 hours plus 0.24 hours plus 0.71 hours, and it becomes 1.47 hours. So the one quantity is completed, and now we have to find the total distance. So we have to use this formula that distance is equal to velocity into time, or distance is equal to speed into time. So in this case, d1 is equal to v1 into t1. You have to solve it. In this case, d2 is equal to v2 into t2, and in this case, d3 is equal to v3 into t3. So you have d1, d2 and d3. You have to calculate it as the total distance. D is equal to d1 plus d2 plus d3. So find the total distance. You have total time taken. So you have put these two values in the average speed is equal to total distance by total time taken, and you will get the answer. So students, you have to solve all these two questions which are very simple, and I hope this is enough for today. Thank you so much.